Can you be fired for wearing the wrong color shirt? Well, it happened to 14 members of a law firm in Florida. We're joined by Paul Harding of Martin Harding and Mazzotti, our legal analyst. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Chuck. Good morning, Kelly.
Hey, Paul.
So, listen, these employees were wearing orange shirts and kind of showing solidarity to go to happy hour. The boss didn't like it, fired them, and apparently he was well within his right.
It's true. If you're an at-will state, and in fact, New York is, as the saying goes, you can be fired for something good, bad, or a wrong reason, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
What's interesting about this is that they were wearing the color for fun. Apparently management thought they were staging some kind of a silent protest and fired them for it. And that's not what they were doing. But if it had been what they were doing, that's a protected reason, and they couldn't have been fired.
You know, Kelly, I think they probably were doing is probably why they were fired. My best guess is that they were wearing the orange kind of saying, we're prisoners, or something like that. And then when they were faced, but you're right, when the employer came to them and said, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? They all sort of backed down and said, oh, we want to look the same at the happy hour, which is really not a good look for happy hour. But I think that's probably what happened. Unbeknownst to them, you're right. Had they, in fact, said, no, we're staging a protest. The National Labor Relations Act was designed to encourage collective bargaining. So as such, the protest could have been deemed if it was unsafe workplace or unfair treatment. And then if you get fired for staging a protest, you would have potentially the ability to be reinstated. But otherwise, I think it's news to a lot of people when they hear this. You go to work, you do your job. You always hear about people that are untouchable or can't be fired. But those are the folks who either have an employment contract, meaning I work from January 1st to December 31st, or they're in a union. Mm-hmm. If you're in neither of those situations, you are very vulnerable.
So if they're protected from being fired if they were staging a silent protest, and management thought they were protesting and then they said they weren't, now could they still be reinstated because management fired them for thinking that they were engaging in a protest and firing them based on their belief?
Yeah, as I was reading about this, I thought to myself, the door could swing back open, and they could say, well, we honestly backed up. We were protesting. We backed down because we didn't want to get fired. Unbeknownst to us, that was the very vehicle by which we protect our employment. And I think you're absolutely right. I think that they could come back and say, we were intimidated to say it wasn't a protest, but it was in fact a protest. You guys are really rough on us for all these reasons, and you're unfair for these reasons. So there may be, all these movies come out, 1, 2, 3, 4. There may be the 14 folks fired part 2.
Yeah.
And because I'm sure this has crossed someone else's mind also.
Yeah, and then the employer can come back and say, well, look, I had no reason to believe you're lying to me. I assumed you told me the truth, and you said it was for happy hour, therefore my actions were legal.
But I guess you probably had one or two folks, you know the story, one or two folks speak up and kind of sheepishly say something, but the majority of them just kind of sat there, got fired, and they walked out and they grumbled. So they said, well, we John Smith wasn't our representative. He said something. That's not how we felt. He was intimidated. We silently left, which is probably what happened. Again, you've got this employer that historically is going to have some domination over you or some sense of power. So when they come in, they say, you guys are out of here. People grumble, might say a few things, but as a general proposition, I don't think the 14 of them declared that there wasn't a protest. My best guess is one or two said something that turned out to be, as an excuse, it turned out to be the very reason that the employer had the ability to fire them.
WGY legal analyst Paul Harding of Martin Harding Mazzotti, 1-800-LAW-1010. Paul, thank you so much.
Okay, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul. Talk to you soon.